Hello everyone! For my group's Shadow a Company project, we decided to analyze Macy's. Macy's is a retail department store that started off in the late 1800s as a small dry goods store in New York City. Through a series of company acquisitions and product diversifications, they were able to eventually hold the title of largest department store in the entire world. At their peak, they had over 800 stores throughout the country. However, with the rise of e-commerce, Macy's was not able to meet the demands of consumers, which was a strong and efficient online presence. In 2015, they closed over 50 stores, and in 2020, they are planning to close over 125 stores throughout the country. Macy's claims to be America's leading retail experience. The corporation as a whole encompasses Macy's, Bloomingdale's, and Bluemercury. Macy's claims that they have a national stores footprint, robust e-commerce, and a rich mobile experience. Customers can shop the way they live, anytime, and through any channel. Current events surrounding Macy's. Macy's had major changes to their senior management team throughout 2020. In January, they changed their chief operations officer as well as their chief stores officer. And in October, they changed their chief financial officer. The COVID pandemic caused major losses for Macy's because all in-store operations were switched to online. They had quarterly net loss of over $650 million, and their sales went down 35%. The most recent change, and one that is going to be implemented throughout the next 3 years, is their new Polaris strategy.
In February 2020, Macy's announced an updated strategy. It has 5 major components that outlined on the slide. Strengthen customer relationships, curate quality fashion, accelerate digital growth, optimize store portfolio, reset cost base. In strengthen customer relationships, the company is focusing on building customer lifetime value, accelerating personalization and monetization programs, and expanding its loyalty program. Customers come to Macy's for a compelling curation of the latest trends, exclusive products, and the best brands at great value. And the main idea of the second component is to provide customers with best brands while balancing sales and margin. In the next step, the company will continue to invest in its websites and mobile apps to deliver a superior fashion experience, accelerate growth, and further strengthen profitability. Optimized store portfolio includes store closure and staffing, growth treatment, off-price expansion, new store format, and supply chain modernization. Macy's plans to close approximately 125 of its least productive stores over the next 3 years, and it is around $1.4 billion in annual sales. Macy's will continue to expand Macy's Backstage outlets over the next 3 years as well. Also, they're testing a new store format called Market by Macy's, which is smaller than the average Macy's store and will be located off mall in lifestyle centers. The first store was opened in Dallas on February 6, 2020. The company plans to make improvements to the physical store as well as investments in merchandising strategies, technology improvements, talent, and local marketing. Macy's is further reshaping its supply chain to support omnichannel customer behavior and the company's new retail ecosystem. The company is implementing a new private brand sourcing strategy that is expected to reduce cost and improve speed. Corporate organizational changes and campus consolidation pertain to reset cost base component, and the goal here is to reduce corporate and support function headcount of 9% or approximately 2,000 positions. Macy's announced that New York City will become its sole corporate headquarters, and the company will be closing its San Francisco, downtown Cincinnati, and Lorain, Ohio offices.
Hello everyone. For this part of the presentation, I just want to talk about financial information and stock price history. Let's talk about financial information. According to the most recent 10Q report for August 2020, the revenue for Macy's was $3.727 billion. Net income was about, or it's better to say net loss was $431 million. The total debt for this period was $13.859 billion. Total assets was $17.614 billion. Basic EPS for this period was $1.39 and diluted EPS was again $1.39. Macy's annual sales revenue for the most recent financial statement was $24.5 billion in December 31st, 2019, and it shows about 0.8% decrease related to year before. For the last financial year ended in December 31st, 2019, net income was $554 million, and compared to the year 2018, that net income was $1 billion, it shows about 48%, more than 48% decrease in. It happens because although revenue decreased about 0.8%, but cost of revenue just decreased about 8%. It shows difficulty or failure for Macy's management to control the expenditure related to revenue decline. The other reason for this decrease in net income is because of decrease in gain on sale of real estate and increase in restructuring, impairment, store closing, and other costs. These two items caused this significant decrease in Macy's net income. Although cash and cash equivalents increased from 2016 to 2018, it dropped in 2019 and 2020 drastically, and it is about $1,152 million to $685 million at the end of 2019 balance sheet. The stock history and analysis. For the all-time highest price for Macy's was in July 17, 2015, and the price was $73.51. And the lowest price for all the time during last 20 years was on April 3rd, 2020, and it was $4.38. Current price for at the December 3rd, 2020 was $11.60, and it shows a little bit increase during the last 1 month. For the last 1 year performance for a stock price for Macy's, we can see it dropped from $14.84 to $11.50, or 21.83% decrease in stock price. And for the last 5 years, we can see 70.56% decrease in the stock price.
Macy's has a lot of competition. Basically everyone's their competitor, such as Nordstrom and Farfetch and other online retailers. They used to be brick and mortar. They used to rely on their stores, but they're actually outdated now due to COVID. They have bad financials because they don't really manage their cash burn well, and they have a high customer acquisition cost, which means that they pay a lot per customer. SWOT analysis. Their strengths include that they carry a wide variety of products and that they're a known brand. Their weaknesses is that they have poor management, low online presence, poor website and app design, quality of service declined, and their stock dropped 50%. They're really outdated in my opinion. Their opportunities is that they would need to strengthen their global presence, expand e-commerce sales digitally, and diversify their products and gain more customers. Their threats would be global recession, declining retail sector, and trade pressure.
So the recommendations that we would suggest are Macy's to do on the short term run are such things as making their website and apps easier to use. Try to, like, with the apps, make sure to do the bug fixes and everything as every app usually does. And also, one of the main things that usually when I personally go to the store is that you only tend to see more of kids, toddlers, and like children's clothes, and then the adults, like for male and all that, but the more adult, the elderly and all of that. But I personally don't see the youth clothing for the youth. So I feel like they should try to bring that out more. For example, like one of the things that they do have is like all of the brands, well, most of the brands, but they don't really try to target the youth, which they should do more. Also, they should bring the old fashion back, because old fashion is starting to be trending now. Old fashion, as in the looks from the 80s, 90s, such thing as that, which will help them out. For example, as the other stores have, for example, Forever 21 and H&M, they usually have, they kind of bring the old style back. So that's one of the things that we will recommend Macy's on doing as well. They should definitely have more sales, which sales do attract customers, which is one of the most wonderful things for us as customers. Also, they should try to use the media more and have better customer service. They should use, for example, now everything is basically through Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, such thing as that. And one of the things that will help them also is, like, for example, for the youth, they can use the most trending app, which is Snapchat. That'll be really, really helpful. Like, we would recommend that. So on the long term, one, what we will recommend is for them to become multinational. For example, try to have a store in, like, let's say, like, popular countries, or countries that are more, that they tend to have more visitors from, and do such thing as that. Also change its look, make it look more modern, more up to date. They should try definitely changing that and try to make the shopping experience much easier. For example, now we see that Target, Kmart, in all those stores, they have self checkout, which would also be much more easier, and it will be, for us as customers, less time framing. So these are the things that we recommend Macy's to do.